Welcome to another episode of
Attack of Opportunity.
Today in the hot seat, we have Aidan Willems. You know him as Poser Sham, if that is your real name. We might find out in Season 2, coming up in our Star Wars We Shot First actual play podcast, where we play Dawn of Defiance campaign. You also know him as the delightful and delighted Fafal, the sylph that has photobombed and jumped in and around at the very end of our Season 0, our prologue series of Dice Before Dishonor. One of our resident rule lawyers and one of our very first, shall we say, winners of our yearly edition that we have. We're constantly looking for new talent, and I believe it was 2016, 2017 that we picked you up, Willems.
Yeah, I want to say it was late January, early February of 2016.
We picked you and Frank,
or 2017 maybe.
We picked you up and Frank up very close together, but technically one was like one winner at the end of the year, and the other was the other winner that we brought on to cast and crew at the beginning of the next year. And I can never remember back and forth. But you're here. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you know what time it is. You know the very first question that we love to ask is, when did you first know that you were a geek, a gamer, a nerd, a fantasy, sci-fi, superhero, spy, horror, etc.? One of us.
I was indoctrinated very, very young. My first memories are either me playing video games alongside my older brother or watching him play. He is 7 years my senior, and we had a Nintendo 64 growing up. So when I was 2, I was playing video games. I was very much into the action-adventure type games like The Legend of Zelda and whatnot, Final Fantasy, Fire Emblem. I honestly...
Video games that are actually labeled RPG?
Correct. I didn't get into... I mean, Final Fantasy is considered an RPG. So I started to delve into the RPG setting with those games when I was a bit older. But I didn't get into pen and paper, tabletop, like D&D Pathfinder until, I want to say, like junior year of high school. And that was mainly because there was a YouTuber that I watched for some various video games, and he started streaming Pathfinder. I want to say it was Dragon's Demand. And I watched it, and I was just fascinated with it. After that, I started to try and get friends from real life to play. Not a lot of people wanted to play, so I actually found Roll20, got on there, became a DM, and started DMing some games.
And then we found you, and the rest is history. But speaking of video games, is that Matt Witt I see sticking his head in the virtual studio?
Shh! I'm not here.
I think he's trying to get revenge on you for like interrupting his interview.
I was just waiting for the appropriate moment to jump all over it.
Well, he's walking around the background doing like the chicken walk. It's pretty distracting.
Hey man, I do what I can.
Well, now that you're here, we'll buy a little time for the interview. I'm going to go get myself a cup of tea, and you can get your revenge.
Sure, sounds good. See ya. Bye. Shoo. Be gone.
Apparently, this is happening now. Wonderful.
Let's take a look at this list of questions he has. All right, so Aidan Willems, how long did you know you were Oh, I can't ask you that. And, all right, let's move down the list here. Wow. Oh, man. I can't ask you any of these questions. This is crazy. He's probably just totally trying to get back to you for all the crap you give him during game.
Hey, he started it. That was not me.
I think he's also trying to finish it with this list, man.
See, now my curiosity is slightly piqued.
You could ask him about that in private. I don't think any of this stuff is PG, though.
Probably not.
Anyways, all right. Well, Aidan, why'd you start podcasting? Like, what kind of brought you into doing this with us?
So I didn't initially want to get into podcasting. I wasn't against it. But I got a random email from Jeff out of the blue, and he had found me on Roll20 because I was a DM on there, and he was like, "Hey, I need a backup DM to run Mummy's Mask, and I'm auditioning people. Would you be interested? You would be recorded because this is going to be a podcast." I was like, okay, well, my last game had just kind of died out. People had just, gone off for winter break and never came back. So I was looking for a new game, and I was like, yeah, why not? I don't mind being recorded. I actually have a YouTube channel. I haven't posted anything in like 5 or 6 years. But so I've never really been afraid of the mic. It was just something I'd never really thought of before for podcasting. And then just doing it with Jeff and whatnot, and you guys, it has been a lot of fun. Shoot, it actually wasn't Mummy's Mask. It was In Tune with the Pharaohs.
Haha, yes, that's right.
Yes.
You know what? I remember those days. I actually think I got in a couple of those games with you.
Yes. I think you were playing.
Not as many as you guys went through, though.
Yeah. It was funny because Jeff originally brought me on as a DM, but I had an exam on my audition day. There was 2 other guys. It was going to be one guy, then me, and then the last guy. But I had the exam on my audition day, so I asked to switch with the last guy. And so when it actually got to my new audition day, Jeff was like, you know what? Screw it. You're a good player because you've been playing while they've been DMing. So let's just go with it.
Have you actually ever gotten an opportunity to be a DM under the Mongers brand?
No, I have not.
Is that something you might be interested in doing in the future?
It definitely is. I have always kind of had a weird kind of interest in the weird and Lovecraftian horrors and whatnot. So if Jeff gives me the chance, I'm definitely going to run Strange Aeons, and I want to run it with all you old guys. Switch the seats.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah. So.
Well, that's you know what? I'm going to look into that now. I haven't heard much about Strange Aeons. Can you give me a bit more information on that?
I don't know too much about it. I haven't read the guides yet, because if we were to run it, it would be a long time away. But
yeah.
It's centered about this cult who follows one of the great old gods, as they're called in Pathfinder. But it's pretty much just the Lovecraftian gods, Cthulhu, and other tentacled beasts that do like crazy stuff to your mind.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
And yeah, it's exploring that, finding the Necronomicon, yada yada. So
sounds very interesting, actually. I think that'll make a very exciting podcast.
Yeah, I'm hoping to scare the crap out of you guys.
Speaking of podcasts, where can we find the pod, and how many people are involved in this?
As of now, I'm not exactly sure how many are going to be or are involved at the moment. I'd have to count them individually, and I really don't feel like doing math at the moment. But we can find on most podcasting services, mainly SoundCloud, a few on YouTube, Spreaker, and whatnot. We're actually on iTunes now, which is
that's exciting.
Yes,
that's exciting.
Yes. iTunes, Stitcher, and the like.
So getting spread out there pretty good. Right on. That's exciting. Now to get a little personal. What do you do for a living? What's your everyday like, Mr. Aidan Willems?
Full-time student. I am majoring in mechanical engineering, and it is taking up a lot of my free time.
I can totally understand, actually. It's funny you say mechanical engineering, because I'm a mechanical designer by trade.
Oh, really?
Same job, I just don't have to go to school for 200 years.
Fair enough. I should be...
But don't worry.
It should only be 4.5. But...
You'll get paid like 5 times as much as I do. So what other pods are you involved with under the Mongers moniker? I know you play with me under the We Shot First Star Wars actual play podcast, and you've also done some dabbling with us on Echoes of Honor and Dice Before Dishonor.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. I am involved with one more podcast underneath the Mongers banner, and that is Clinton's Core Classics, Rise of the Rune Lords 20th Anniversary Edition.
Wow, awesome. So tell me a bit about that show.
So Clinton, a guy that we brought in probably a year ago, one of Frank's buddies from real life, now DMing us through Rise of the Rune Lords, and he's an old school tabletop guy. So he likes the very classic fantasy groups of like all good guys saving the world and whatnot.
Fantastic. I mean, like that's why a lot of people play. And how a lot of people play.
Oh yeah, exactly. And Clinton's great. I mean, the way that he describes the scenes and whatnot and how into it he gets. I mean, you should hear his goblin voice. And when he sang the goblin song, it was amazing. Even Clinton,
I've never actually had a chance to play under Clinton.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. He knows so much. And heck, Clinton's regular voice is honestly, it's a lot better than Jeff's. I mean, he's a lot more fluid, you know.
I was waiting for the Jeff digs to start coming out. You know what? You deserve it after I saw that list of questions.
Nah. I mean, I definitely like to pick on Jeff, and he likes to pick on me, but it's honestly all in good fun. I mean, it's just jabs back and forth. I mean, it's how any two good friends do it.
Right on. And you're going to be working with me, I think, on a project coming up in the future as well, aren't you?
Possibly. We have a few projects that we are working on, and I believe, yes, I'll be working with you at least on one of them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know if you're going to be involved in the game that I'm going to be running and writing and all that fun stuff. Little shameless plug here, but Starfinder.
Oh, wow. Tell me about that.
Anyways, well, there is a little bit of a lack of content out there from the developers of Pathfinder for one of their newer systems, Starfinder, and they've got one major campaign out. This is Dead Suns, and it's been done to death in the podcasting world. And so I decided I was gonna, because it hasn't been written about so much. I think it gives an opportunity for some creative leverage. And so I'm kind of in the midst of developing a 3-module campaign that I'm going to run with you guys that is going to hopefully tie in with a couple of our other podcasts from the Pathfinder universe. And I think that's where you're going to come into play for that project.
Well, that sounds very interesting. And I have no clue about Starfinder, so it's great to hear about some of that stuff.
Well, we'll see about that. I mean, we've got a long ways to go, and it's I'm not going to lie, it's a bit tough to try and schedule writing time in and around work and recording and all that fun stuff. But to the people out there, if you're hearing this, keep an eye out for us on Patreon, and if you feel like giving us a hand to keep this quality content coming out, that's where you're going to need to look. But yeah, so. Jeff's going to be running Man from Osirian. Osirian, yes, I'm sorry. Very soon. And I'm hoping to use some of the play that he's coming to tie in with the Starfinder and do a bit of cross-world montage action. I think it's going to work out really good. I'm kind of excited myself for it.
Oh yeah. I'm very much excited for it. Especially because I will hopefully be a part of Man from Osirian, and we'll be finally getting into the desert, which is funny because I'm from the desert in the U.S., so it's funny, wanting to escape the desert by going into a different desert, so.
Well, I mean, does your desert have magic? Giant scorpions and dragons and stuff?
It does have giant scorpions and giant spiders, but no dragons, no magic.
Yeah, see...
That's fair. That's fair.
The desert you're escaping to is kind of way cooler. I'm just going to go out on a limb there.
Yeah. No. But you have a very, very good point. And yeah, there aren't ancient ruins here that you can explore. It's all just kind of run down buildings and concrete here.
So if you don't mind me asking, or if you're not afraid of sharing it with the world, whereabouts are you from?
I am from Arizona. Yes, one of the southmost states in the U.S., where it is very hot and very dry, sunny 300 days out of the year, and it snows once in a lifetime.
Does it really snow there?
We have occasionally gotten snowfall. It's a lot more common up on the mountains, and there's plenty of mountains in Arizona, but down in the valley areas, maybe once every 2 or 3 years.
Crazy, because I mean, I just had snow here yesterday.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
It's not. It really isn't. It sounds nice, when you only get it like once every 20 years.
Yeah. I guess that is fair. I'm eventually looking at moving up north, with maybe like New York or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Move to the big city? Gonna hit it big?
Oh no! Definitely not the big city. Come on, Matt. Do I
fair
look
enough.
like the kind of guy that is a very social and outgoing person that's ready to make it in New York? Hey, I'm walking here. No, that ain't me. I'm going to be upstate in like Albany or something, you know?
Oh, okay. Head for like New Hampshire or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. New Hampshire, Maine, kind of that area where it's nice and wooded and quiet. Heck, I might move up to Canada.
Well, we'd love to have you here, Aidan. We really would. You're an upright guy and a damn fine role player.
Well, thank you very much, Matt. I do appreciate that.
Well, I would just have to say thank you for sitting in and letting me pick your brain for questions. I'm not sure where Jeff went. I think maybe we scared him off with our obvious awesomeness. And I'd just like to thank everyone for tuning in and listening to us here at Mongers on Attack of Opportunity.
Well, thanks for having me, Matt. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Okay, I got my tea. Boy, that kettle really does take a long time to boil when you watch it. I'm back, guys. Okay, so Aidan, hey, where'd everybody go? Oh, I really wanted to ask him how long has he been a